It's the Blitz. You're on San Antonio Sports Star. No, Jason, Joe ain't here. They're acting like Russell Westbrook at a Laker huddle. They're going to hang over to the side till the game gets going again. Until we get going, we'll do this. And because we're doing this, we get to talk to him. Hey, we'd like to welcome on the show Marcus Spears. Swagoo joins San Antonio Sports Star every week. We're certainly excited about this. Mr. Spears, welcome on the show, man. We're glad you're here.
Fellas, what's going on, man? Good to talk to y'all. That was a great analogy about Russell Westbrook, though. That was phenomenal.
Yeah, anybody that takes time off during football season, Swagoo, they don't want it. And this job is a privilege. So we're here, man. How are you? I just saw you do the big man. What is it called? The big man. What did you just do on TV? What is it?
Big man balling, man.
Yeah.
Balling. We always talking about quarterbacks and running backs and receivers. I got to show love to the dudes in the trenches who really make it go.
You know what? Speaking of that, everybody talks about Aaron Donald, right? I mean, it's got to be a couple other guys, Swagoo, that you like, yo, he's a dog. He's a dog. Like, who are a couple other dogs outside of Aaron Donald?
Oh, man, I can run a list off, man. First, Brady Jarrett from Atlanta, who don't get enough credit.
Okay.
Chris Jones.
Yep.
Is phenomenal. We saw Quinn Williams go off. I think he's ascending to be elite for the Jets. Man, there's so many dudes.
Yeah, Swag.
I think
when you talk about
things.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you, when you talk about guys like that, they all have one thing in common: is they're not only great pass rushers, but they're great run stoppers. And I want to apply this to what we saw with the Cowboys.
Yes, man.
What you tell me? Should I be worried about the line not being able to stop the rush? Should I be worried about that, or will offense fix this?
No, you should not. Okay, and I talked about it today on NFL Live. I'm very optimistic. The Cowboys are closer to the Eagles than I thought they would be. To be honest with you, I think schematically the Eagles are going to give people problems all year in the run game. I don't think it really matters how good you are up front. I think it's about being able to play technique and really making tackles in open space. They have a phenomenal scheme, bro. We've been talking about this since the season started. They create spacing before they even block because of the RPO and options that come off of it. I mean, there was a couple of times where Jalen Hurts attacked the edge and Micah or safety was in no man's land. Because off of that, you got three options. You got to focus on the running back if he hands it to Miles Sanders. You got to worry about Jalen keeping and running. And then they were keeping the receiver out wide just in case he wanted to split it out, like throw the ball out there for a quote-unquote extended handoff. It's just a tough scheme to guard, man. And, I mean, we sitting here, and I'm watching the game last night, and obviously your focus and your plan got to revolve around taking Micah out of the game. And I thought they did a great job of it wasn't necessarily putting a man on him and blocking him. It was just creating all of these options for the quarterback and kind of putting them in space. So it's difficult to adjust to, man. And obviously, Dan, I'm sure would like to have some back as far as play calling. I think you got to try to dictate to this offense as much as you can as opposed to trying to stay and play gaps. But ultimately, I wasn't discouraged, man. That game was 20-17 in the fourth quarter. After 2 interceptions, and a lot of positive offensive movement in the first half of that game. So I think the offense has to make up for that. You can't allow Philly to have that many opportunities because they're going to get you if you are on the field that much. But ultimately, man, I wasn't too discouraged about it.
You know what? That's a great way of looking at it, Swag. But how did you feel about did we finally say, hey, you know what? Do we owe Dak an apology? Because this is what I've been saying today, and you could correct me if I'm wrong. The last two times we saw Dak, Swag, he was awful against Tampa and he was awful against San Fran in the wild card. So I'm wondering what we're really expecting once he gets back.
Well, I will say this to you, man. We got to evaluate Dak, and he did not play well at all in either one of those games. A year ago in the first game, he was phenomenal. Look, man, first of all, let me get this out of you. All right. I don't even know why the foolishness was going on about it to put him in when he come back. Like I was so fed up with some of my colleagues here for even having that question.
Right.
I would be mad I was pissed off at producers. I was pissed off at associate
it's
producers.
easy to get pissed off at producers.
I was pissed off at court. Like I was just like, why are we even having this conversation?
Right.
And I get it. Like it's something to talk about. And it's the Cowboys. Every angle you can find produces ratings. So let's talk about whatever we can find.
Well,
the other part of this is I believe the person that took the best step forward in all of this was Kellen Moore. Right? Like you can fall because you have, quote unquote, this top 10 quarterback, this guy that you paid this amount of money to. We got to throw it around the yard and we got to justify him being paid what he's being paid because nobody wants a $40 million game manager. All right? That's just the reality. Like we expect fireworks when you got the type of contract that Dak has. But let me tell you this, man. Ultimately, what we really paying these quarterbacks for, if you pay attention to the NFL, and I've been saying this, we pay them for the fourth quarter and being able to make plays in critical moments.
Right.
That's how we deem greatness. Because if we deem greatness by numbers and stats, you know who would be the greatest quarterback in the NFL? Kirk Cousins.
Interesting.
Because every year, he is a top 5 statistical touchdowns, QBR. We judging these of what they do in critical moments. And if you ask me about Dak Prescott coming back, Kellen Moore needs to keep the same energy. I cannot count the times when Dak was playing last year where I was screaming, why are we not getting Tony Pollard the football? I cannot scream enough about why are we not leaning in to play action more with an offensive line that you are concerned about being able to hold up while you sitting in shotgun trying to push the ball downfield. Guys, I would challenge anybody to go back and look from the time that Cooper Rush took over, how much separation these receivers had because we decided to lean on the run game.
Nope.
And how convenient and easy it was for him to play from the pocket and have opportunities to get the ball out of his hands fast because of the way the offense was structured. And keep that same structure. Now you get a boost in talent. You get a boost in playmaking ability. And hopefully that's what can carry today.
Marcus Spears joining us here on San Antonio Sports Star, stopping by for his weekly house call. I want to talk about Dak for a second. I want to ask the perspective of a great player like you. Did you ever learn anything standing on the sidelines, hurt or not playing? Did you pick anything up that you applied to the game when you got back in?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And the most important thing you get to do is you get a chance to see the guys around you and what their level of talent is from a different perspective.
Interesting.
Right? Being injured and being able to watch DeMarcus Ware, I knew what I could do to help him, and I knew what he was doing that could help me.
Great
you
point.
Just don't get to do that when you in the battle together because you in the middle of it. And you're trying to figure it out. I always say this, man. Like, when you have a chance in the NFL to pull back and actually digest football from that perspective. Now, nobody want to be hurt. Nobody want to be out. I think we got to say that because we're like, oh, everybody. No. What you get a chance to do, man, is you get to see how other guys can elevate and what they do well. You get to listen to your coach, especially in Dak's situation. Call plays. Why are you calling those plays? What situations are we in? What would I do differently if it was me in this particular situation? Would I just call more? Would I lean more on my ability? You get a chance to do all that type of stuff. And that's offense and defense.
Because you struck me, Marcus, when you said that, we expect him to come back, better talent and all that. Remember the narrative when he left is we were talking down here at least, looked like he was checking out a lot of plays, that there might have been more Pollard calls, but Dak was going to his arm and going there. Do you think he learned to live inside the offense standing on the sideline?
Oh, my God, 100%, man. 100%. And guys, when this transition happened, I was on SportsCenter and I said, we making all of this talk about Cooper Rush and what he did against the Minnesota Vikings. This is Kellen Moore. You're on the clock, buddy. You got to be the guy to help put this dude in a good situation to play at a high level. Zeke is going now. Tony Pollard is going. We see play action with crossers. You found the player in Noah. You know what CD talents are and the rapport that him and Dak has already. You get Michael Gallup back. Now allow Dak to be a conductor until it's time for him to be a $40 million quarterback. There's nothing wrong with that, bro. John Stockton ran the Utah Jazz offense to a T.
Yes.
Okay? And he's a Hall of Famer. You know what he did? He did a high school roll with Karl Malone and the right reads. It would either kick the ball out to Jeff Hornacek to hit a three or get Karl Malone the ball so he can go downhill. Or if they lack off, I'm going to take this little 15-footer. He went to the Hall of Fame doing that. Like, it's fine. And then when it was high leverage moments, when it was critical times, and he had to lean on his talent along with the ability to live within that structure, he was able to be phenomenal. John Stockton's only problem was he had to beat down Michael Jordan. Okay? That was the problem. But outside of that, man, we've seen a lot of dudes thrive in being in systems. And I had to even coach myself to stop saying guys are system quarterbacks. Because Tom Brady was a system quarterback.
Yes, he
Aaron
was.
Rodgers, Steve Young, Joe Montana, all of the ones that we consider great, they were system quarterbacks until they got to those high leverage moments and we attached greatness to them.
Staying in the division.
So that got to live in that structure, man.
Staying in division. I know we only got you another minute or two. You buying or selling the Giants? Because I feel like, Swag, like I could look up in 4 weeks and they could be 5-5 and I wouldn't be shocked. You buying or selling the Giants?
I'm buying them.
Really?
Because I think their lines of scrimmage have changed. That's for me, that's the most important thing. When you start talking about teams turning it around, I got to look at your offensive and defensive line first. That's why the Jets playing like they playing. And if you watch the Jets bully people at the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
The Giants are kind of starting to get back to that. They got rushers up front. They got two big physical defensive tackles, especially Dexter Lawrence, that can push the pocket from the center. And they put Daniel Jones again, guys, like we was talking about with that.
Marcus, man,
go ahead. I know we got to get.
No, it's great, man. I was just going, man, this is great. Let's just get this going. Yeah. Marcus Spears joining us here on San Antonio Sports Star for his weekly. This is really a nice first chance to get a hold of this. It's been fun. Looking forward to the Dak starting with the Lions, and we know the Lions' defensive issues. What's a reasonable expectation for Dak's performance coming up this weekend?
Hey, man, I hope it's like 2 touchdowns and 225, and we rush for like 170.
Gotcha.
That's what I hope. I hope we ease him in. We ask him to make the throws. We put him in situations where he can play off play action, and he's not standing back there in shotgun. He don't need to be around 38 to 40 passes. It need to be a good 25 to 30 if the defense is calling for that. But lean into that run game and allow Dak to have easy access throws. I say you get him going early in the first quarter to make it so he can just check himself about how he can push the ball, hitches, quick slants, dudes sitting in the middle of zone where he can drive the football. Don't ask him to make no out routes from opposite hash. Don't ask him. Maybe you go over the top if you got a shot at doing it to see if he can do that and do it as effectively as he was able to do before he got injured. Play within structure. Ask him to make throws that are routine throws that we saw him making that warm up that he was doing before the Philly game.
He is Marcus Spears, the pride of Southern U High and LSU. Happy Tiger this weekend. Thanks for stopping by, Marcus. It's always a pleasure to catch up with one of my idols, man. We appreciate your time. Have a good week. We'll talk to you soon.
Much love, fellas. This was a pleasure, man. Talk to y'all soon.
Swagoo right here on San Antonio Sports Star.